China's renowned real estate giant, Vanke, has thrust itself back into the spotlight once again, unraveling in a storm of controversy as its era draws to a close. On October 11, 2025, headlines exploded across major media outlets. Vanke's newly appointed chairman, Xin Jie, had vanished from contact for over 20 days, widely believed to be in the custody of authorities and stripped of his freedom. The revelation didn't stay buried for long. As a publicly traded company, Vanke couldn't conceal the detention of its leader indefinitely. Just 2 days later, on October 13, the firm issued an official statement. Xin Jie had stepped down, with Huang Liping stepping in as the new chairman. It's plain to see that the gap, from Xin's disappearance on September 18 to Huang's formal installation on October 13, spanned more than 3 weeks, precisely the window required for the higher authorities to vet Mr. Huang and finalize his appointment. Allow me a brief profile of Huang Liping. He is the epitome of a technocrat, a leading authority in geotechnical engineering, serving as vice president of the Shenzhen Metro Group. He has long overseen its engineering and operations arms, commanding deep respect across the sector. Now, he's been thrust into the breach to inherit Vanke's tangled mess, confronting a landscape fraught with peril. He must shed his technocratic roots and pivot swiftly into the realm of political maneuvering, executing the singular mandate from above, pursue accountability, target as many individuals as possible. To grasp this imperative, we must rewind and unpack the insidious tactics Vanke's leadership employed for years to drain the company's profits. First, let's establish a foundational understanding of real estate profitability. Consider a residential development with 100,000 square meters of gross floor area. Suppose the floor land price stands at 10,000 yuan per square meter, paired with unit construction and installation costs of 5,500 yuan. That yields a total investment of 15,500 yuan per square meter, or 1.55 billion yuan for the full project. Simple arithmetic, right? In the pre-bubble era, real estate ventures typically delivered a static return on investment of about 12%, translating to net profits around 186 million yuan for this example. If that were the whole story, real estate might not seem like an irresistible pursuit. A 12% static return often unfolds over 3 years, yielding an annualized rate of just 4%, barely edging out bank fixed deposit rates and scarcely justifying the frenzy of capital and influence that flooded the industry. The real game changer? Developers rarely foot the full bill for that 1.55 billion investment from their own coffers. Leverage becomes the engine with myriad tools at hand: bank development loans, pre-sales as a potent form of advance funding, or staggered builds where Phase 1 revenues fuel Phase 2, among others. In standard 100,000 square meter residential venture, a developer's true capital commitment rarely tops 25%, capping at 387.5 million yuan. Yet profits hold steady near 186 million. Viewed through the lens of actual outlay, the return rate soars. 186 million in gains divided by 387.5 million invested equals a 48% margin. Spread over 3 years, that's a 16% annualized yield, a venture emphatically worth the risk. Still, this marks merely a solid enterprise, not outright windfall territory. Developers refine the art further, reluctant to commit even that 25% in cold hard cash. Per project equity from their pockets typically ranges from 20 million to 50 million yuan. Giants like Evergrande or Country Garden might cap it at 20 million. Vanke, less audacious, let's peg it 50 million for our scenario. The rest? Improvise. General contractors front engineering fees, or no contract comes their way. Land payments get deferred to the brink until pre-sale eligibility looms, then a quick bridge loan settles the score. Sales ignite, buyer funds cascade in, and the loan vanishes, restoring equilibrium. To orchestrate such razor-sharp financial wizardry, timelines compress dramatically. Land acquisition to unit sales within 100 days is par for the course. Launches demand frenzy, achieving sold-out-in-a-day status to sustain momentum. This is the high-wire act of Chinese real estate development. At its zenith, Vanke's outlay shrinks to 50 million against 186 million in profit, inflating the return to 372%. Over 3 years, annualized at 124%, this elevates it to bonanza status. Yet appetites prove insatiable. With 50 million squeezed dry and leverage exhausted, developers balk at dipping deeper into reserves. Enter external partners, a joint project entity forms, equity carved 60-40 in the developer's favor. A staple arrangement, but infusions and payouts defy those ratios. Capital splits 20-80, developer contributes 10 million of the 50 million, partner the remaining 40 million, profits invert to 80-20, developer claims 148.8 million from 186 million, partner 37.2 million. For partners, 40 million invested yielding 37.2 million over 3 years nets a 31% annualized return, a compelling proposition. Vanke's rank-and-file staff, compelled into co-investments, fold into that partner tranche. For listed Vanke shares, the math borders on the surreal, 10 million outlay harvesting 148.8 million in 3 years, a 4.96-fold annualized multiplier, nearly 5 times yearly gains. Ponzi schemes pale in comparison. This, dear viewers, unveils the magnetic pull that, amid the real estate bubble's delirium, drew endless capital streams into development. I suspect many of you are already stunned, but brace yourselves. The plot thickens. Enter Vanke Management's masterstroke, their bespoke profit extraction blueprint. What follows will leave you breathless, questioning reality itself. Recall our 1.55 billion investment project, where Vanke injects a mere 10 million to unlock 148.8 million in returns. That sliver of capital brims with opportunity. Enter Peng Jin Suo, Vanke's notorious extraction vehicle, the conduit for all executive windfalls. Behold the sleight of hand. The 10 million divides into 2 streams, 500,000 from Peng Jin Suo, 9.5 million from Vanke shares, a 5-95 split. Profit distribution, however, Peng Jin Suo seizes 30-40%, will use 35% for precision. Thus, a 500,000 infusion claims 52.08 million from the 148.8 million pot. And that 500,000? No true outlay required. Vanke shares engineers labyrinthine financing, leaving executives to merely endorse nominal stakes. Absurdity incarnate. Vanke's elite needn't risk a dime to claim 35% of every project's bounty. A 100,000 square meter endeavor alone yields 52.8 million in purloined gains, booty divvied among luminaries like Wang Shi, Yu Liang, and Jiusheng. Yet Vanke's brass didn't pioneer this from inception. Peng Jin Suo launched in June 2014, ostensibly to heed the era's push for internet finance, not plunder. Pre-2014, rewards flowed via transparent bonuses. Then, early 2015's Bao-Wan clash ignited. Bao Neng's aggressive bid for control unleashed a protracted ownership siege, unmooring management's equanimity. Paltry pay and perks no longer sufficed. By 2016, Peng Jin Suo morphed, abandoning fintech to specialize in executive enrichment. Spanning 2017 to 2021, Vanke wrapped roughly 800 projects. Conservatively, if management skimmed 52 million apiece, the tally hits 41.6 billion yuan in extracted profits, dispersed among director-level and above, roughly 40 souls, with seniority dictating shares. Averages? About 1 billion per head. On the ledger of infractions, post-2017, Shenzhen Metro's 29.38% stake rendered at least 122 billion of that haul's state-owned assets. The scale? Undeniably embezzlement of state property. Over 40 executives, averaging 300 million each in misappropriated public funds, all co-conspirators, facing peak penalties, up to 7 years imprisonment, total forfeiture of illicit proceeds, and crippling fines. Forfeiture here engulfs not merely the 122 billion state slice, but the entire 41.6 billion siphoned sum. Viewers, this foretells Vanke's inexorable denouement. Executives imprisoned, assets seized, fortunes obliterated by penalties. Only this aligns with China's intricate political calculus. Shenzhen Metro's 2017 infusion of 66.3 billion into Vanke, cleared at central echelons, now teeters on total loss, Vanke careening into default. Such farce cries out for reckoning. Dispatched in January 2025 as board chair, Xin Jie's mandate was unambiguous: rationalize the 66 billion debacle. Binary paths, concede governmental misjudgment, from local to national tiers, implicated officials culpable and jail-bound for flawed calls, or indict Vanke's cadre for cataclysmic malfeasance. Their profit raids eroded viability, precipitating collapse. The verdict? Option 2, unequivocally. Xin's deployment targeted corruption probes, ensnaring every culprit without mercy. Vanke's fate as entity, bureaucratic indifference reigns. Unfinished projects follow separate protocols, insulating against buyer unrest. Absolve the self, and corporate demise fades to irrelevance. Xin Jie, however, veered into folly, embracing the first path. January through September yielded twin gestures. Shenzhen Metro's 28 billion loan infusion, collateralized by Vanke's scant gems, and structural tweaks sparing most brass, save finance sentinels. This tableau endorsed operational integrity, leadership untainted, firm unsullied. Ergo, culpability devolves to era's decision-makers, officials destined for the dock. Such a gambit defies comprehension, idiocy etched in permanence. Peng Jin Suo's depredations are public lore. Waves of ex-employees, stiffed on co-investments, fuel ceaseless exposés, dominating trends. Xin Jie, willfully blind, fixated on resuscitation while foisting fault onto the apparatus, from petty clerks to titans. Bureaucratic forbearance stretched to September, an anomaly of restraint. The sequel unfolds predictably. Spurn the hunt, join the hunted. October 14th, Jiusheng apprehended. Longtime finance steward, indubitably the siphon's architect, his capture unleashes the evidentiary torrent. There, in essence, lies Vanke's chronicle, hurtling to climax. China's real estate colossus craves authentic closure. Vanke solos the swan song. Its cadre of 40-plus, shackled and exiting stage left, signals the epic's irrevocable fade to black. Thanks for watching and joining us on this journey to unveil China's many layers. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button to stay updated. See you in the next video.